Alright, so I did a video probably like 4 years ago talking about the Ford Assist. And that video is just horrible, but it's got some really quality information that I would like out there, but that video is just so bad it's never going to get that information out there, because in order for the information to get out there, it's got to be an enjoyable video, which means that's not going to happen because it's not an enjoyable video. So let's do a retake on this. The Ford Assist, that's what this button is right here. Now the reason this is on your rifle is because your charging handle can only pull the bolt back. So say for example, your bolt has an obstruction, there's nothing you can do with your charging handle, not even if you push it forward. So this button's there to push your bolt forward. Unfortunately, because of the angle it comes in at, it gives you a massive mechanical disadvantage. Alright, so try not to lose sight of the prize. What we're going to be doing is simulating a load by having the charging handle back just a little bit. So all it needs to do is overcome this latch right here. That's it. And we're going to do this with two different methods. One with the Ford Assist, one with just pushing on the back of the bolt carrier. What we're looking for is the difference in force between each job. They're doing the same job, it's just two different methods. What kind of mechanical disadvantage do you get by using the Ford Assist? Here's the little scale reader right there. Let's do this. Make sure it's on. Alright, so first we're going to do with the bolt carrier. Now with the Ford Assist. I can't see that, so I don't know what the numbers are, but I suspect the bolt carrier going that method is less than 20 pounds, or less than 10 pounds, and the Ford Assist is somewhere less than 20. Either which way, it's about double the force. And if your bolt gets stuck in the rear position, you cannot take your AR apart. It is not possible. You cannot slide the upper off. That bolt absolutely must go forward in order for you to take your AR apart and figure out what's wrong with it. So to get your AR apart, you got to drive the bolt forward. Now there's a few different reasons why your bolt may not go forward. One, you get a double feed, in which case you can look at the side of the chamber, strip your magazine, lock the bolt to the rear, and get that out of there. Another one, a case may be stuck in the chamber. Again, you'll be able to see that, you'll be able to get your bolt back, lock your bolt to the rear, drive the casing out, do whatever you got to do, get the casing out of there. The next one is a squib. Now this one is the killer. This is the reason why most people have so strong feelings against a Ford Assist being on there or trying to ever drive your bolt home. What a squib is, you fired your last cartridge. For whatever reason, the powder did not ignite. The primer still has enough pressure to where it will eject your bullet and send it down the barrel a distance. It'll usually still get hit by the next round. So you're like, pop, it makes a funny noise, and if you don't know what it is, rack it to the rear, eject that casing out, you're like, oh, and let the next one go in. Your bolt will typically come forward to about right here, just out of battery. If you were to drive that home and then pull the trigger, you're going to blow up your gun. So it's very important to make sure you don't have a squib. The only real reason I've ever seen a Ford Assist ever become useful, I was in extreme negative temperatures and I had watched YouTube videos. I was still pretty new on the AR platform. They said you should put just a small, very small dot of grease on the rails where your bolt carrier runs. There's 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and then maybe one in the rear where it goes over top of your retainer for the buffer. I had done that. I swear I didn't use like any grease whatsoever. Anyway, when you get to sub-zero temperatures, heavy oil and grease turns into glue. So I get to the range, I rode in the trunk the whole time, so the rifle was probably somewhere around like negative 15 degrees, negative 20 degrees, possibly colder, but we're not going to go past 20 because that would be an extreme, and I don't think it was quite that cold. So I get to where I'm going, popping a mag. I noticed it was really hard to pull back. Well, when I let it forward, it didn't even strip the round off. The bolt stopped back here. I'm like, what the hell? Pull out the mag. I'm working the charging handle, not getting any kind of results. It's still, even without a magazine in there, it would come to like right here and just stop. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Well, I had determined that the grease was frozen. So what I had to do was put in a magazine. Now, there is a huge mechanical disadvantage to this. So what you got to do in order to use a forward assist is grab it by the barrel, grab it by the stock, find a solid surface. Everyone's sleeping right now, so I can't demonstrate it. But you jack the rifle down on the forward assist, slowly going harder and harder and harder until you get the bolt to close. Because you don't want to overdo it, but you need to apply a lot of pressure. Like when you see people do like press checks and they hit on this, that is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. After the mechanical disadvantage, just hitting on this even hard, you're only getting like maybe 15 pounds of force on there. Cut that down, we'll say the mechanical disadvantage is half. So that's only, what? 7.5 pounds going forward. That may sound like a lot, but you got to remember, I just did that test. Did I show you the test yet? Anyway, well, the test will be before this part. Where all it had to do was push this forward. That's it. All it had to do was make that latch. And it does that without a problem. No problems whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's still got enough momentum left over if you accidentally chamber a 300 blackout. It's still got enough momentum over to latch this, smash the bullet into the casing, and make it fit inside the chamber when it's not supposed to. So if your bolt does not go forward, the force it would be required to send it forward is extreme. It's got to be somewhere in like the 40 or 50 pounds, maybe even more than that. Because remember, it's got momentum working for it. It has enough to latch this, plus smash a round down in normal conditions. So if it stops, it requires a shit ton of force. So anyway, at the range, realized that my gun was frozen. So what I had to do was put in a magazine, get it as far forward as possible, which was something like this. Grab it by the barrel, grab it by the stock, go on the shooting bench, and just drive it home. Then after I shot it, I think I had to do that 1 or 2 more times. And the heat coming through the buffer tube warmed the gun up enough to where it functioned normal after that. That is the only reason I have ever seen where a forward assist was needed. Now the idea is if you fall down into mud and it's an absolute emergency, you need to fire that firearm, you can use the forward assist. So you can either take your gun and bash it closed, or you can just not shoot. You're not going to wipe that grease off of there. It's literally like a glue. You would have to heat it up by a fire or something like that and wipe it off that way, or use some sort of brake cleaner or diesel fuel. If you don't have those options, then use the forward assist. But the main point I want to push here is it's going to require a lot of force to use a forward assist if your bolt carrier couldn't do the work on its own momentum. The next thing I want to make sure that I'm really driving home is don't just ram the bolt closed. Make sure you know exactly why, and I mean exactly why it will not go closed long before you try to use a forward assist. If you have a squib or something like that, you're just compounding the problems. You're making the problems worse. Once you've determined why the bolt won't go home, if it just so happens to be one of those crazy, off-the-wall problems like I just explained with the grease freezing, yes, then use the forward assist. Unless it's something you are very 100% sure of, like beyond all reasonable doubt, don't use the forward assist until you get to that point. Determine the problem first. Chances are you're going to decide that the forward assist won't fix it, but if there is that crazy circumstance, it will. Be prepared to apply some serious force. Again, if you have to, extend the stock out, grab by the stock, grab by the barrel, find a nice flat surface, and slowly increase your banging power until you get your bolt closed. Anyway, I hope this video was useful. I'll have a bunch of links in the description down below for like the sling, light, backup sight. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't buy what the link is for, add a little kickback because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.